Predicting disc golf for some people may be hard, but for me, well, it's really freaking hard, but I'm going to try my best. I've dedicated the last few years of my life to watching as much disc golf as I can. I've seen players rise and I've seen them fall. I'm going to try and predict exactly what's going to happen for the 2023 season. Obviously, I can't talk about every single player and what I think their future holds, so for anyone who I left out that you feel like needs a mention, make sure to give me your predictions for them in the comments below. With that being said, only focusing on the MPO side of things for today. Now, some people have already won this year, the 2 wraparound events happening at the end of 2022. I'm excluding what has happened already for my predictions. This mainly counts for the first player I will be talking about. Alright, let's get after it, predicting or trying to predict the 2023 disc golf season. I think we have to start out with the most recognizable player, Paul McBeth. Paul had a pretty good season last year, pretty regular for him to take down a major, like Worlds, and be a top contender for most tournaments. He technically already has a win this year at the New World Championships, a Silver Series that goes towards the 2023 season, but I'm not counting that towards my predictions here in a moment. Now, Paul has come under some scrutiny for his announcement that he will be taking a European tour during the season, playing 8 events over in Europe, including the Elite Series PCS Sula Open and the Major European Open. I may be starting out bold in my predictions, but here we go. Paul McBeth will only win in Europe. Now that gives me some wiggle room because he has a really good chance of winning the European Open, which of course last year he came so close battling with Eagle McMahon. So that gives Paul 1 major and I would still be right. But as for the rest of the European Tour, I think he has a really good chance of winning most of those events. Now the Disc Golf Pro Tour has announced that some of these events will be worth more points, so I imagine some players from the US may try and go challenge McBeth and the rest of the European field. But I still think he will capture a couple wins. As for the rest of his tour in the United States, I think he will struggle a bit, and here's why. We were hinted at an official return last year, but sadly it was quite disappointing, even though he won the European Open. And of course, I'm talking about Eagle McMahon. Battling injuries all last season, we didn't see much of him. He did have that one-off crazy performance winning the European Open without throwing a forehand, but that was just one event. 2023 is teasing the full return for Eagle, which in turn is bad for everyone else. I think Eagle is going to be scary this year, especially on those open courses. He's never really done great playing in the wood style disc golf, so maybe the later part of the season, when the tour heads east, he may struggle a bit. But before that, for sure, Eagle's going to grab a few wins, if he's healthy. We saw how Simon was able to win backing off to 80 or 90%, just staying focused and not overdoing it. If Eagle can ease back off the power, play consistent, healthy disc golf, he can fight for that Player of the Year award. Speaking of Simon Lizotte, he's been in the lose lately. Don't know if you've seen that. Well, he's got a new company, previously Discmania, now throwing the MVP lineup. Gonna be tricky, a lot of eyes on Simon to perform, and I don't think he'll struggle that bad, I just don't think he's gonna win. Let's look at where Simon won last year. OTB, Portland, Des Moines, and Maple Hill. Now for those first 3 courses are extremely open bomber courses. If Eagle returns, then there's one person to challenge him there. The other thing to note is that for 2 of his wins, Ricky Wysocki was dealing with health issues. I don't want to take anything away from Simon's amazing 2022 season, I just don't think he's going to replicate it this year. Great move, excited for him in MVP, but I'm predicting no wins for Simon in 2023. Ricky Wysocki had a great year last year, one of his best, but I think this year is going to be different. Storylines right now are reading, will Ricky win a major? He's been on a serious drought when it comes to major victories, and that's the storyline I want to focus on. Yes, I think Ricky will get his fair share of wins this year and battle for Play of the Year, but I think that's not the focus. I think the focus is for Ricky to win a major. Let's look at his chances. Champions Cup, he placed 2nd last year. Same course, I definitely think he can take this one down. European Open, Ricky has battled for it before, he has a solid chance again. Worlds at Smuggler's Notch, where Ricky is a beast. Again, starting the year, I have him favored to win the World Championship, and I think he's going to take it down. Finally, USDGC, another solid chance for Ricky. My prediction, Ricky wins 2 majors this year. Corey Ellis came so close twice last season. He lost in a playoff to Calvin Heimburg at D-Glow, and at the MVP Open just kinda choked on the final shot. It was really hard to watch both of these events as a new Corey Ellis fan. These moments make fans though. They get people to root for you, and I'm pretty set on thinking Corey's gonna get both of those wins back this year. 2 wins in 2023. He has the power, he has the finesse and the technique, and also the putting. Don't get me started about how good his putting is. I think he can do it. He has lost, and in order to win, you have to learn how to lose. He's accomplished that. Now it's time to become a top 5 player for 2023. Matty O, one of my favorite players to watch out on tour. This year is Matty's year. I firmly believe he's going to get his first big win. Now he does already have a Silver Series win a couple years ago, but it's time to move up to that elite category. Or major, that would be pretty sweet. The crowd's energy towards Matty O is crazy. If he can capture a win, a tournament like Ledgestone or Portland Open, that would be awesome for the game of disc golf. A lot of these players I'm predicting to do better or worse, some more drastically than others, but sometimes players just remain the same. Heimburg and Dickerson are my picks for doing pretty much the same thing as last year. Both players will have their moments, capture a couple wins, and be a top 10 if not top 5 player. But at this point, it's to be expected of these guys. They are two of the most consistent players out on tour. The worst ranked player to win an event this year was Eagle McMahon, but that's just because he didn't play many events and didn't get that many points. Only a handful of players in the top 25 didn't capture a win, either Silver Series, Elite Series, or Majors. My pick for next year to grab the most unexpected win is Brodie Smith. He's been improving every year, showing us different skills and different levels of maturity out on the course. He has the potential, he just needs to put it all together at one event. When I say maturity out on the course, I don't mean that Brodie is out there throwing fits. What I mean is that Brodie has really good rounds, then he follows up sometimes with some really bad rounds. His best chance is the Silver Series, and I'm predicting he's going to grab one silver event this year. He just needs to put together one good tournament. Well, Rookie of the Year is going to be really hard to predict, so I'm going to give it my most vague answer yet. As we have seen the rise and fall of certain players, one thing has been consistent for the arrival of incoming talent. The college disc golf scene has been growing every year, and as we saw last year, it produced some really good talent. I think that whoever is going to win Rookie of the Year is probably going to come out of the collegiate tour, possibly showing up for some tournaments in the summer. Keep your eyes peeled, the talent is crazy at some of these college events. This may be out of left field, but I think it's my best prediction out of all this. The Most Improved award, won by Gannon Buhr last year, is an interesting one. Gannon had a great season and definitely jumped up a lot of spots, but I think this year it's going to go in a different direction. For those of you who don't know, Jakob Semmerad is one of the best European players. He dominated the European Tour last year. He did play some US tournaments and he dropped a little bit, but he's got potential. As of right now, he's going to be playing in the US at the start of the season, and I think his game is going to shock a few players. He finished last year in the point standings at 72nd, but that's only from playing a couple events. This year, Jakob will be a top 10 player and win the Most Improved award. Speaking of European players, we had a nice influx of European talent last year that showed they could play pretty good. Antila, Carlson, and Makala. Couple moments where they challenged for titles, Carlson at MVP and Antila at USDGC. They may have had some good moments last year, but they also struggled a bit. In regards to this new group of European players, not counting Simon since he's already won, I think they're going to get one title. I don't know which of these players will do it, including Jakob Semmerad in this group, but I think they will become the first new wave of European players to get a win. The 2023 season had some blunders for a couple people, some worse than others. Players like Nathan Queen and Paul Ulibarri who battled injuries, with them being healthy, you'll see a quick rise up the leaderboards out of them. I don't know if they'll capture a win, but in regards to point totals, they should hop back into the top 30. Adam Hammes was the top 5 player in 2021, then last year he finished at 17th. Andrew Marweed was the top 10 player, then in 2022 he dropped back quite a ways, back into 30th place. Lastly, Nico Lacastro didn't play much last year, but I imagine he's ripe and ready to go for the 2023 season. As long as he keeps it nice and cool, he's going to be right back in at a top 25. For all 5 of these guys who I've mentioned, I'm confident they will move back up to where they were at in previous years. The game is getting harder, players are changing companies, but for these 5, I think they can do it. Not every player can go up. Some players are going to have to drop to make room for those who I think will be first-time champions. Players like Drew Gibson, who was able to capture a win at Las Vegas last year, but didn't do much for the rest of the season. Kevin Jones, a gatekeeper in points right at the top 15 every year, but he hasn't captured a win since 2020. James Conrad, a win at Worlds in 2021, but only a couple of times where he fought for more wins. For these couple of players, I have a feeling they're going to drop back to that top 25 range. In order for them to break out, they're going to have to capture a win, and I just don't see it happening in 2023. There are no teams in disc golf, but sometimes it's fun to think of the game this way. Each company has their own team, some larger than others, that try and compete individually. What I want to talk about here is who is going to have the best overall team in 2023. Simon has moved to MVP, but alongside him and Conrad, there isn't much depth. Discraft signed a couple new players, but will that help or hurt the overall average? Last year, Team Prodigy had some spectacular performances, with Alden Harris dominating in the Silver Series, Isaac Robinson taking down his first Elite Series win, and of course Gannon Buhr being a top 5 player. Will it be Prodigy again? How about the new team at Lone Star, with Emerson Keith, Nico Lacastro, Chandler Kramer, and Robert Burridge? Potential there for sure, but I don't think they have enough firepower yet. I think I'm going to have to give it to Discraft on this one. They just have so much depth with McBeth, Dickerson, Hammes, Barella, Esri, Brodie, and Yuli, and the player who's going to do a lot of damage this year, Corey Ellis. The best disc golf team of 2023, I'm predicting Team Discraft. Finally, to finish all of this off, I'm going to choose my player of the year. Gannon Buhr had a huge season last year. He played great, fought for a lot of titles, and took down a big win at USDGC. Now, I've already said I think Ricky will win 2 majors, so for Gannon to win a Player of the Year, he's going to have to do something special. He finished the last season in 4th place on the point total. In order for him to take that #1 spot, he's going to have to do a lot of winning. He was close plenty of times, but now that he's gotten over the hurdle of a major title, I think that Gannon can win anywhere. He's talented enough to play well in the woods, to throw far enough on the open courses, and by far good enough with the putter to hold his own against the top 5 players. Gannon Buhr, Eagle McMahon, and Ricky Wysocki, top 3 players in that order. What do you guys think? I tried my best to fit in as many of the pros that I could. For any that I left out that you feel need mentioning, make sure to comment down below what you think their 2023 season will look like. Like and subscribe, and make sure to check out my channel. Plenty of other videos on there just like this. Alright, we'll see you next time. Cheers.